If you take, we'll be starting in about 2 minutes. Today is May 30th, 2024. This is the planning zoning session of your regular full commission meeting of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that some commissioners, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom, by phone, or on site. All participants joining by phone should please mute your phone at this time. And this is done to avoid any background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you're allowed to speak, so the public that is observing knows exactly who is speaking. This is critical given the number of remote participants and its current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General's office. If public comments are allowed on the agenda item, comments should be limited to the topic of that item. Per the Commission Rules of Procedures, comments should not include any rude, derogatory remarks, reflections as to integrity, abusive comments, or disorderly conduct, and statements as to motives and personalities. I will now call this meeting to order. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Kane.
Here.
Lopez.
Here.
Stites.
Here.
Davis. Bynum. Burrows. We have an absence memo. Townsend. We have an absence memo. Burns.
Here.
Ramirez. Hill. Warner.
Here. Thank you. Tonight we'll have an invocation by Reverend Fanny Hill. That will be given and immediately followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask everyone to please stand.
Every head bowed. Lord, we thank you for your goodness, for your kindness. Thank you for your grace and your mercy. Lord, we thank you for giving us a desire to be here, a passion and a concern for our city. Lord, we ask that you unite us in hearts, in minds, and in spirit. Lord, we ask that you guide us, lead us, direct us, have us to do what's best for our city. Have us to be mindful of one another, show love for one another. Let us endeavor to bring peace to our community, that we might move as one in your favor with your guidance, your leadership, and your help. Lord God, we need your help like never before. You see the condition of our hearts. Touch our hearts. Touch us, Lord God, and help us to love like you love us. Bless our community to come together and strengthen us. Help us to go forward united in your name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend Hill. Work there any revisions to tonight's agenda?
Yes, Mayor. An agenda update was issued, removing item number 2, the dot card introduction, and adding item number 10, a resolution approving the First Amendment to the Downtown Development Agreement under the mayor's agenda. There are no other revisions.
Okay, and it takes us to the mayor's agenda. The first item under the mayor's agenda is a presentation to the Park Foundation. And we really appreciate our parks and the foundation here in the unified government. In April, during our 7 days of kindness, the mayor's staff continued the tradition set last year of selling candy grams to UG employees with inspirational notes of thanks for their fellow UG team members. Thank you also to the staff of the UG for the support in this effort. The 7 days of kindness was an opportunity to kick off and continue kindness moving forward throughout the year. As an opportunity to continue to create ripples of kindness, we are honored to present this check of $410 because of the sale of the candy grams relevant to the 7 days of kindness to the Wyandotte County Parks Foundation. We hope this contribution assists you with great work by our Parks and Recreation Department. Please welcome our Parks Director, Angel Farah, Recreation Department, Dr. Jane Philbrook, and Vice President of the Wyandotte County Parks Foundation, Pat Gates, to the podium.
Yeah, we got you. We got you. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That's
Good evening, Angel Ferrara, Director for UG Parks and Recreation. So happy to be here to accept this also with 2 of our foundation board members, and just want to take a second to thank the commission, especially the mayor, for continuing the funds from 7 Days of Kindness and the candy grams to go back to the foundation. The Park Foundation is really important to a lot of the capital projects that we do in parks, and also more recently at some of the programs, most notably Donuts with Santa. They support the funding for all of the presents for that event to be possible. So really appreciate the support. We can't do it without the foundation. And I will introduce Dr. Jane Philbrook. She is the Park Foundation's vice chair.
Thank you. It's nice being down here. It looks so much different from down here. Listen, I really do appreciate you guys collecting the money for this. I appreciate the UG employees giving of their money. The foundation is determined to continue to bring in more money, if we can, every year to donate to projects in our parks. And it's a hard job sometimes, but we're determined. And our community deserves it. So here we are standing before you, trying to be humble in the fact that anybody that wants to donate to the parks has my permission, please do. And if you know of anybody that would like to help us raise money for parks, please let us know. Thank you. Come on up, Pat. She's been secretary for a long time.
Hi, I just want to thank the commission so much for your generosity and your donation to the Park Foundation. It's a joy to partner with playgrounds and the creation of new playground equipment and other kinds of projects that we like to partner with the city in our parks throughout the city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I can't take credit. I know the mayor's office, helped facilitate this, but really it was all the UG employees that contributed. Because without them contributing and seeing value in this initiative of kindness, this wouldn't have been possible. So really it was, I know Irene Cadillo, my chief of staff, and Anna Marin really worked hard to go around and get this together. And so if you see them, thank you and show them some love and kindness. And to all the UG employees that contributed, and any elected officials, thank you so much, because I know these funds will be put to good use for our parks. And so I know Reverend Hill talked about kindness as well in her opening prayer. And I like to say, if you want to make a community great, the prescription for that is kindness. But the cure for a lot of our ills in our community is rooted in love for one another. So thank you so much. Thank you. That takes us to item number 3 on our agenda. And I'm going to step down and I'm going to let the clerk read the first one.
Proclamation. Whereas James Donaldson, known as J.R. Hoodstar, is a Wyandotte native who grew up in the St. Margaret's housing development and successfully attended Central Middle School and Wyandotte High School. And whereas J.R. Hoodstar is known within urban settings for promoting entertainment throughout the Kansas City area, built his name as one of the top tier hosts around the KC Metro. And whereas winning the Kansas City People's Choice Award for Best Host in 2023, thereby breaking barriers for Wyandotte entertainment nightlife, influenced the entertainment narrative. And whereas on May 4th, he spearheaded Hoodstar Boys to Men Workshop, engaging young boys from ages 14 to 17 with often overlooked critical technical skill mentorship that correlated into a full-fledged summer initiative available to young men in Kansas City, Kansas. And whereas KC media outlets have highlighted this work, which reflects positively on the vision of James Donaldson and further exemplifies his devotion to the community and his 4 children, Joshua, Bryden, James, and Juliana, as he plans to continue spreading positivity and love for all things positive in Kansas City, Kansas. Now, therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim May 4, 2024 as J.R. Hoodstar Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas.
All right, Zone, we good? All right. I want to say thank you to the mayor. Thank you to our city. I'm proud to be a Wyandotte resident. I'm proud to be from here. I take pride in being from Wyandotte. I want to use my platform that I have, grow and gained over just the country. I travel all around the country, and I just want to use my platform to keep spreading positivity for our city, for our youth, even for some of our elders, but I just want to definitely tackle this youth. Show them that it's more than just YouTube playing games. I want to show them it's more than just joining gangs. I want to show them that it's more than breaking into our cars out here. I'm gonna keep on using my platform, like I say, just to be positive. Show them how to change tires, check car batteries. I'm doing it again this Saturday. Show them how to work a lawnmower, how to cut grass. And I'm gonna just continue that, keep on using my platform, keep on just, bringing light into our Kansas City, Kansas side. Thank you to the mayor. He came out. The news, they came out, or they're reaching out to me, the radio station. So I just appreciate everybody that supported me, and I'm gonna keep doing my part and hopefully fill up some of these seats more with our community and our city, get more involved. And I want to help with the parks. I don't know if the women left or not, but I definitely want to get with them, use my platform to help with that, because I feel like like I said, I want to do it all. I want to do it all if I can. And thank you again to the mayor, and thanks to my city. I love my city. I love being from 913, and that's it. Well, thank you to my family too. I want to say thank you to my family for coming out for the support.
Proclamation. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital bedrock public service. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who have experienced sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services have grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of emergency responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of our emergency medical services team engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating an Emergency Medical Service Week. Now therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim May 21 through 27, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and urge all citizens to recognize the importance of Emergency Medical Services Week.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator, what an honor it is to receive this acknowledgement from you on behalf of the men and women that make up our great fire department. A typical day, we'll do about 105 emergency responses. 70 will be emergency medical calls, ranging from heart attacks to strokes, right on down to bee stings and burns. We do see it all. With that, this motto is for us to take a look at the past and prepare for the future. That's the national motto for the emergency medical services of the entire country. And I'm here and pleased to tell you that we're doing that in our community. Thanks again for the tremendous support. Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just like to note that J.R. Hoodstars is his stage name. But I met this young man and I was really, really impressed. He had a group of young men and some mentors that were skilled in technical trades, teaching these young men how to change oil, change tires, do alignment, check batteries, check brakes, and they were doing it on the spot. I have never seen that before from anyone. In my public service years here in Kansas City, Kansas. And so I was really impressed. Those young men were very appreciative. They were attentive, and they picked up some valuable life skills that that sometimes we overlook and take for granted. And so J.R. Hoodstar identified that and said, how can I fill the gap? I mean, our kids go to school, they're educated on how to do math and the arithmetic and the English and knowing your nouns and your pronouns and things of that nature and social studies. But when you get out here in the real world, some of those basic skills, these young men, they found it of value. And so I know he's growing that program with our young men. He's asking for more mentors that have that skill trade. And he's dedicated to, like he said, being involved in this community. And there's many people like that. And we want to continue recognizing and championing these unsung heroes right here in Kansas City, Kansas, that are doing great things to make Wyandotte County a great and safe place to live, work, and raise a family, especially with our young people, and from vulnerable populations as well. So thank you, JR, for your work. We really appreciate you. This community appreciates you, and we thank you. Chief, I know he left. Oh, he's still over there, but we have a very professional chief here that the administrator hired. He's talking to a lot of the firefighters. He's well respected by the rank and file. And I know he's doing a great job, and he's taking the fire department to that next level of professionalism. And so it was my honor to give you that proclamation. We thank you and the fine men and women of the Kansas Fire Department for your service, and all of our public safety officials, be it police department, sheriff's department, the DA's office, as well as our fire. We've got good public safety professionals here in Wyandotte County. And I am, as mayor, I will say it today. I worked on the police department. I've worked with firefighters. I've worked with the DA. I've worked with sheriff's officers. I would say right here in Wyandotte County, our public safety officials, I'm going to say they are second to absolutely none when it comes to providing a high level of quality service to the residents here in Wyandotte County. So thank you, Chief. That takes us to item number 10. It's the last item under the mayor's agenda, is the approval of a resolution to the I stand corrected. The clerk has a few more proclamations to read. So clerk, please.
Thank you. Proclamation, now therefore I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim May 5 through 11, 2024 as National Correction Officers and Employees Week in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and urge all citizens to recognize the importance of National Correction Officers Week. Proclamation. Now therefore I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim May 10, 2024 as Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated Mu Omega Chapter Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. Proclamation. Now therefore I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim May 12 through 18, 2024 as Kansas City, Kansas Police Department Week in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, and urge all citizens to recognize the importance of Kansas City, Kansas Police Department Week. Proclamation. Now therefore I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim May 19, 2024 as Cerdinino Family Educational Equity Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. Proclamation. Now therefore I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as Older Americans Month in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas.
Thank you, clerk, for those proclamations. We're going to take about a 1-minute recess as we've got some technical issues that staff will work on. Okay, hopefully that issue has been resolved. This takes us to the last item on the mayor's agenda, is the approval of a resolution to the First Amendment to the Downtown Campus Development Agreement with Lanier United LLC. I'll ask our legal counsel to make some opening remarks.
Yes, this is Angela Lawson, Acting Chief Counsel, and I would ask if Commissioner Burns wished to address anything on this. We did craft this to answer concerns that he had, and I can say more on it. Did you want to? Okay. As stated, we did request this, or we did draft this to answer some concerns. I've got Jeff Conway to explain what this does, and then we also have Todd in LaSala in the audience who can also explain the original. He negotiated the original agreement and he can provide that background. So Jeff, if you'd like to start.
Jeff Conway, UG Legal. And again, yes, at the request of Commissioner Burns and the mayor's office, we drafted up what's before you as the First Amendment. So then the action item would be the resolution to adopt the First Amendment. So that's why you have two documents. And I'd just like to explain some basic concepts. And I know it's a lot of paper, a lot of verbiage, but it really just boils down to this, that I guess I'll have to step back a couple of steps and explain that we've had a project that's been going on for a few years. You may be aware of it. Some of you are just starting to get aware of it as newly elected officials. So it's a project near the downtown, and at one point the developer we determined did not meet one of the conditions, and so the development agreement was terminated. And so then a while later, you may be aware that on April 11th, the Board of Commissioners did adopt the new downtown development agreement for that project. The developer did sign that development agreement. And then Commissioner Burns wanted to readdress the issue. And so that's why there's this First Amendment. So the First Amendment would be to this most recent development agreement. Now you might say, well, what's the difference between that and all of that came before? Well, essentially in 2023, there was the development agreement that had been crafted up to that point. This new linear development agreement contains all of that. It's basically like cutting and pasting and bringing it over. And it's the new development agreement with just one change. And that is the moving the ability to get the attorney fees from all of the proceeds. That moves to the front of the line. Then the developer can recoup the pursuit costs and the pre-development costs second in line in that sequence. That's really the only change between that 2023 version and this new linear development agreement. Okay. So Commissioner Burns has the proposal before you, this First Amendment, and it really boils down to pushing the ability of the developer to access the pursuit costs and the pre-development costs to the very end until completion of the project. That's essentially what's going on. So the original agreement, the meat of it basically is in 4.1, section 4.1. And you may not have that in front of you, but I can explain that in that one, the pursuit costs are accessible upon 37% of that was accessible upon closing. The next 37% was accessible 4 months after commencement of the construction. And then the remainder, 26%, was accessible 8 months after the commencement of the construction. And so the First Amendment would replace that process with basically saying that all of those costs wouldn't be accessible until the completion of the project. So that's what, so there's a lot of verbiage there in 4.1, and it basically boiled down to that. Now, on your First Amendment, the next piece is we had to have some conforming amendments. So there's a lot of verbiage that basically goes into that. Essentially, on 4.2D, as in dog, there was a provision that said, except for pursuit costs and pre-development costs, the parties agree in D, et cetera, et cetera. So that piece is getting dropped out as a conforming amendment. The rest of it is just the same verbiage that was in the development agreement. And then in section C, the original section 4.5 of the development agreement, that also had some language that said, except for pursuit costs and pre-development costs, the 50-50 limitation applies. So that's a conforming amendment. That's all the same language as before, except for that clause of the exception. And then in section D, 4.7, what's going on there is paragraph B. The original said the developer shall achieve substantial completion of the commencement, commercial space, multifamily space, and Reardon Center, provided that substantial completion is not needed for pursuit costs and procedure, pre-development costs from the CID, TGT, or UG contribution. So that chunk was dropped off because that's consistent with the concept. So in a sense, that is a conforming amendment. And then finally, there's clarification with respect to the demolition. And this is another concept that Commissioner Burns was pursuing. And so he was saying that the developer can use no more than 50% of UG funds to pay for the demolition costs. That's what that paragraph that would be 4.8, adding a new Roman 8 on there. Okay, and I hope I haven't confused anybody, but that's basically the concept, is pushing those costs towards the end and then making all the conforming changes throughout all the language. And then Todd LaSalle is here with Stinson, our outside counsel, and he's got extensive knowledge of the underlying linear development agreement.
So Jeff, this is Todd LaSalle. Jeff did a nice job of providing a very detailed summary of what's going on here. Let me crystallize this for you a little bit. This is really about the pursuit costs for Mr. Lanier. When this governing body approved the development agreement last April, this pursuit cost concept was in there. That was the first time that it showed up, because before that, Lanier had to get to substantial completion to start collecting CID money and TIF money. But last April, not a month ago, last April, this was a negotiated point, and his argument was, there's been a lot of delay here. I've incurred a lot of costs, and I'm carrying those costs. I can't wait for all of those costs. And so, as Jeff said, we crafted a development agreement that you approved in April of 23 that said 37% when we close and commence construction, 37% 4 months in, and then the balance later in the construction cycle. And so all that's happening now in this amendment is it's really taking that agreement and washing it away. So instead of getting those costs at his closing and during his construction cycle, he has to wait till substantial completion. It does do that. And as Jeff said, it also really changes the deal on demo costs and splits those 50-50. They're not 100% reimbursable. I'll only say one other thing about this that's a little bit unusual about where we are. Our development agreement, the new one, and we thought it was important to approve a brand new development agreement since you terminated the old one. So this one's not an amendment. That development agreement last month is a brand new development agreement. You terminated the old one. So that agreement was approved by this governing body last month. And then Mr. Lanier signed it and sent it to us. And I think it is still sitting here with us. I don't know that we have signed it yet, but I do think it's a live deal. This amendment has been brought forward, but to my knowledge, we've not sent it to Mr. Lanier. I don't think he's read it. We've not had any negotiations about it. This is, I think, our proposal perhaps about how we would change. If we vote for this tonight and approve this, I think we have to go propose it to Mr. Lanier and see if he will agree to these terms and sign it. And that's just different that I don't have opinions about that. I'm only telling you that that's different than what we usually do, which is fully negotiate these points and bring them forward with both sides saying, we think this is the deal. So I'll stop there, but I think this is a good summary of where we are and what's going on with this amendment. Does anyone have questions for me before I sit down? Or do you want to move on?
Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, counsel. I think you did a very good job of describing. It does not rescind the fact that the 5 commissioners approved on April 11th.
Yeah, that's right.
Not rescind it.
That's correct.
Make better stewards for the commissioners of the funds, and how they're going to be released. This is all that it basically does. That was, I think Jeff said it was on May 11th. It was on April 11th.
Right.
It's conveniently done 2 days after I had my knee replaced and I couldn't be here. And I asked to have the committee, which I think Commissioner Davis moved, to continue it for 2 to 3 weeks so I could be here. And that was denied too. So I had no input on this, other than I wanted to make sure that we were good stewards of the taxpayers' money, because that's what we are all elected to do. And I think this is all that does, is ensure that. Am I right, counsel?
In a word, yes. I would tell you the pursuit cost was a negotiated point, right? From the UG's perspective, would it be better for us to wait until substantial completion? Yes. The negotiated point with Mr. Lanier was about the money that he had been carrying while there were delays. So if you want to characterize the agreement about pursuit costs as an accommodation that this governing body agreed to with him last April, a year ago, April, that would be fair. It's better for him than it is for us. That's unquestionably true. I would only tell you it was a negotiated point that this governing body took on in April of 23 and then approved again in April of 24. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be open and frank, here we are again with this project in front of us for the nth time. The developer has not seen this, has not read it. It was a negotiated item in this contract or in this PA.
That's right.
In my belief and legal counsel, chief counsel, correct me if I'm wrong, we litigated that we're not negotiating in good faith if this is.
I think Angie and I are going to be careful about giving you any legal advice on the record
I'm just
about that.
saying,
And I would point out that this would be the proposal back. This would not be a mandate.
Yeah, that's
It's an amendment.
that's right.
Any contractual agreement takes the agreement of both parties.
Yeah, Angie's exactly right. You have an existing agreement. This is really our proposal in a world where, and I don't know whether Mr. Lanier's read it or not, right? Like we didn't send it to him. We didn't talk to him about the substance of this. Like I don't know where he is on this. So if it's the will of this governing body to say, this is what we want, you're really telling us, your staff, go take that to him and see if he will sign it. I don't know where he is on that.
and I could assume he may or may not. But again, this is just another obstacle that has been put in front of him over how many years? Since I've been on this commission, This is my 5th year.
Yeah,
We have continued to put obstacle and obstacle and obstacle and obstacle to get this project to not move forward.
yeah.
And it's, I understand the intentions. But we keep talking about, we want development, we want economic development in our downtown area. But yet we have a project right in front of us who's going to do that. But yet we do anything and everything in our power to stop it. So I wish and I hope after tonight that we can move forward and continue to fight for good economic development projects throughout our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner King.
Commissioner Mike Kane, District 5. Todd, we had an agreement with him, right? Have you ever done this before?
Where we're proposing an amendment? No,
Right.
no, this one's new to me.
Okay, so it's new to all of us.
Yeah.
And then what did we tell the other developers as they go through the process and they think they're there, they're right here. And then all of a sudden we stop it. Well, we want to change it just a little bit. And since you've never done it before, I don't know, why would you want to try to do it now?
I
don't
don't,
have to answer. You know, it's frustrating. We have worked on this for a long time. And it's hard to get developers in the urban core anywhere. And then all of a sudden we say, well, and there has been delays on both sides, no doubt about it. But my God, what do we tell the next guy that's coming in here? You're right there. And all of a sudden, no, we want just a little bit more out of you. It's frustrating. And I would have thought this would have been passed a long time ago. And we'd have been doing what we're supposed to do. This doesn't work for me. You know, I'm negotiating multiple union contracts. You don't come in there and say, this is what I want, and the next day change your mind and say, well, I want to add these 2 other things, even after they voted for approval. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Stein.
Stites District 7. So Todd, if you would, so why are we going about it this unconventional route, right? I mean, I guess I don't understand why we didn't, if there were points that needed to be addressed, why didn't this go in front of a standing committee and that we talk about this like we do? We have an EDNF standing committee if we were going to negotiate this. And the other thing that I'm really concerned about, and I see that Mr. Lanier is in the audience here, is that there was zero communication. Because whenever it was asked if he had read it or seen it, he was shaking his head no. So I'm assuming, I haven't asked him, but I'm assuming he hasn't seen this. And I think it's really unfair to spring something on somebody the day of and expect them to be informed about a development agreement that affects a project that they're working on. I am not in favor of this. It seems shady, and I don't like it. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns.
Yes. I would like to ask the 5 commissioners why it was so important that they, as a group, on a special meeting of it, instead of not having all the commissioners. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, I can.
Or you won't?
Hold on. Commissioner King.
If we held every hot item back when a commissioner was gone, we wouldn't get much work done. The mayor was on extended sick leave. We had somebody come in and take his place. You know, and when I got here, there were a couple of projects I didn't necessarily like, but I was told you can't go backwards, you got to go forward. And because a commissioner isn't here, we have 2 of them not here tonight. We can't say who's going to be here one day and who's not going to be here and then wait till I get back. I mean, we'd be here every Thursday until 2 o'clock in the morning if we did it the way you wanted to do it. And it's not, you can scold us, that's fine. I don't care. But the bottom line is we voted and unfortunately you couldn't be here. But this project was here before you got here. So that's why I think it's wrong to try to do something. Just the old boy doesn't even know what's going on. He doesn't even know what the changes are. So how do we say, all right, this is what we want? And we're gonna drag this out a little bit longer. And I don't think that's fair to the five of us that voted for it in the first place, because we're trying to do what's right and not punch holes in a project it's taken too long to get off the ground in the first place. And I apologize for my little burst there at first, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burns.
Yes, my only intention through this resolution is to protect the taxpayers' money. It doesn't rescind the project. And one thing about it, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. That's one of the great things about America.
Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is, as it's presented right now, I don't think this is gonna pass. I'm not in favor of it. I think at the very least, when we scheduled the April 11th special session or special meeting, whatever you want to call it, everybody was given the benefits of seeing the document prior to. We got this last night. Also, both parties were given the opportunity to negotiate. The fact that both parties weren't given the opportunity to negotiate immediately, for me, spoils this entire process. If we are trying to be more business friendly, even if you don't like a project, there are things that come before us that I don't like. I would definitely not be in favor of a process that says, just because I don't like it means that I'm going to silence the other party and then tie the hands of our government. I just don't think that's a good way for us to do business. But since we are talking about the Lanier project, and because this was passed, and because the window to veto this particular development agreement is far gone, Mr. Lasala, you had said something I think is very, very important that I think is it's something that I would like for you to expound upon.
Okay.
As I understand it, Mr. Lanier has agreed to the terms that was passed on April 11th of this year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and that was May 7th. Do I have that? Or what happened on May 7th? That date came up within.
I'm not sure.
Okay, but
Oh, that's the date he signed.
so he did sign it. Okay,
That's right.
cool.
He signed and sent it to us.
He signed it. We passed it. He signed it.
Correct.
The veto window has been closed. And then you said it is just, so where is the agreement?
I don't think we have signed it. So the unified government, the mayor signs our development agreements. He was authorized. I don't know that we've signed it.
Okay, so I guess legal, I would like, and what do we do here? Because the veto window is closed. We've passed it. The developer has agreed, but now we're kind of in no man's land of, if the mayor doesn't want to sign it, then we just, what happens here? What happens?
And
now?
Commissioner, to be clear, I haven't said that the mayor won't sign it. I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know.
for sure.
We
It's
just
May.
don't
Yeah,
have it.
Sure.
We don't have a fully executed copy yet.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just trying to get an idea of what do we do in this scenario?
And I am not sure either if it's been fully executed or if it's going to be fully executed. If it's going to be fully executed, then that resolves it. I think that, as Todd said, we did have a meeting of the minds between both the unified government by the adoption of it, and then when Mr. Lanier signed it, then when you have, when you have the meeting of the minds, you do have a contract.
It's really offer and acceptance, and he has accepted.
So for the technical aspect of signing, the mayor has indicated that it's, I believe, going to be signed. I don't want to speak for, And if that's the case, then there's not. We didn't, I don't believe we spoke in the authorizing resolution to a secondary signature on them
Not, that resolution calls for the mayor's signature exclusively.
exclusively. So because of the resolution with that particular resolution was specific, there couldn't be a substitution in that.
That's right. So Mr. Johnson couldn't sign it. There are other documents that you'll approve where you could have multiple parties who could sign it, the mayor or the county administrator. This resolution specifically calls for the mayor's signature.
Gotcha. Okay.
And by the way, that's consistent with the way we've done most of our development agreements over time.
Oh, absolutely. And I think I just wanted our colleagues to be aware of the current dynamic of what we're currently doing.
Yeah, that's
Thank
what
you.
Any other comments? Okay, we're here today at this point. I was asked by Commissioner Burns and approached by Commissioner Lopez as well. Out of respect for Commissioner Burns' request to weigh in on this matter, it does sit in his district. It is relevant to his constituents, which he was voted to represent and forward their voice. And so taking that into account, I wanted to make sure that Commissioner Burns, no matter the outcome of this vote tonight, could weigh in and let his voice be heard and let him represent his constituents. I think that's fair. Now, we can talk all this. We're not going to hold stuff up, when commissioners aren't here, but I remember vividly a commissioner doing that last July, and said, you know what, I want to switch things up because I want the other commissioners to weigh in. I didn't oppose that. It was done after a vote had been made to pass something that was really crucial to this, not just this unified government, to this community. And anybody who was here knows exactly what I'm talking about. So taking that into account is, I thought it relevant to make sure that we allow our newest commissioner of this district to let his voice be heard. So whatever he wanted to say and wherever he stands on this issue, at least it will be on the record and he can adequately represent his constituents. And council, correct me if I'm wrong, this is it's not a change, it's an amendment to the current. So it's an amendment to it. And even though my understanding is that it may have been signed by one party, it hasn't been codified by the unified government with my signature. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to get a feel tonight on the will of this commission. And if the will of this commission continues to be that we've heard it, we've listened, and we want to go a different direction, I will honor that and I will sign it as it has been presented. But I do want to say, I've heard some comments tonight that we've stalled this. I want to make it quite clear. No, we didn't stall anything. Since I've been mayor, we have not stalled anything. There was no development agreement because they expired. We went around our procurement process, which is the right of this commission to do, and gave a preferential treatment to a developer, in my opinion. 7 extensions later, I haven't seen that done for any other developer, and I know developers right here in Wyandotte County that can't even get a permit, let alone an extension. I don't know what's going on, and I'm not insinuating anything, but I know this commission has gone above and beyond and flipped over backwards to make sure that this development moves forward, and I'm not opposed to it, if that's the will of this commission. But I will say, I do agree with Commissioner Burns when he said he's looking out for taxpayers' dollars. Now, 7 continuances later, we still have a boarded up Reardon Center. It's not about the person, never has been. And I know some of you like to throw that at me. It's not about the person. I have the utmost respect for that developer, Mr. Lanier. I've talked to him. This is business. It's not personal. And we talk about economic development opportunities. We want to make sure that individuals, to the best of our ability, working with our staff, that when they come to us, whatever agreements are made, that they can be shovel ready to get the job done. This has been going on before I became mayor. It's not so much about the person as it is the project. So you can say that we've stalled. No, I want to defend this unified government and our staff. This developer, for whatever reason, has not been able to get it over the finish line. And I think what Mr. Burns is saying is now we're giving him access to taxpayers' dollars on the front end. And if I'm wrong, counsel, please correct me. To give him the seed money to hopefully complete the project. And if that's what this commission wants, that's fine. But I can support Commissioner Burns and his position in saying, I want to make sure that we are being good stewards of taxpayers' dollars and that this project gets completed as promised and signed by this developer. It hasn't happened in 5 or 6 extensions. And so I share in Commissioner Burns and Commissioner Lopez's concern, as well as some other residents that just want to see the project, whatever it's going to be at the Rear City, completed by whoever. And hopefully Mr. Lanier, through the support of staff and this unified government, can get the job done. Because this doesn't cancel his agreement. And I can tell you, I've talked to him numerous occasions, and I've told him I want him to be successful because we need to have something valuable done at the Reardon Center. And so that's my position. I heard someone say, one of the commissioners say, what do we do to the next guy? Well, my recommendation to the next guy is make sure that you're shovel ready and that you got your ducks in a row and that we could see something move in short order. So we don't have 7 extensions and we're not back here today. And then we have commissioners wanting to blame the UG for something that's not even our fault. Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. And with that, I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution.
Sir, there is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Kane,
No.
Lopez,
Yes.
Stites, Davis,
No.
Bynum,
No.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez,
No.
Hill.
No.
Motion fails.
All right, thank you. We'll now proceed with the items on the planning and zoning portion of the agenda. I'll ask the clerk to read the statement required by state law governing the planning and zoning portion of our meeting, followed by the items on the planning and zoning consent agenda. Clerk, can you give your statement and ask for the disclosures?
Good evening. We would like to welcome all present to this meeting of the Unified Government Commission. Members of the commission are Mayor CEO Tyrone Garner, Commissioner Melissa Bynum, at-large District 1, Commissioner Tom Burrows, at-large District 2, Commissioner Gail Townsend, District 1, Commissioner Bill Burns, District 2, Commissioner Christian Ramirez, District 3, Commissioner Evelyn Hill, District 4, Commissioner Mike Kane, District 5, Commissioner Phil Lopez, District 6, Commissioner Chuck Stites, District 7, and Commissioner Andrew Davis, District 8. As each petition is called, all persons for or against will be given the opportunity to express their views. If this is the first time that a particular petition has been before the commission has three options. Number one, it can approve the recommendation of the planning commission with 6 votes. Number two, it can override the planning commission's recommendation, but it would take 8 votes to override. Number three, it can return the matter to the planning commission for further consideration, together with a statement specifying the reasons for the referral back to the planning commission. The consent agenda is the first part of the planning and zoning agenda. Items on the consent agenda have received a unanimous vote of recommendation by the planning commission. Unless there is a request to set aside an item from the consent agenda by the applicant, a member of the public, the Unified Government Commission, or others, then the planning commission's recommendation on all of the items on the consent agenda will be adopted by the Unified Government Commission at one time. I will read the list of agenda items on the consent agenda, and when I have completed the list, the mayor will ask if there are any requests to set aside items from the consent agenda. This is your time to come to the microphone and provide the agenda item to be set aside if you do not agree with the planning commission's recommendation. If you're joining us virtually, this is your time to raise your hand and once acknowledged, provide the agenda item to be set aside. If you contacted the UG clerk's office, that item will be set aside by the UG clerk on your behalf. If an item is set aside, the matter will be discussed and voted on separately. All items not set aside will be approved with the planning commission's recommendation. We appreciate the attendance of those people here this evening, and we recognize the importance of each petition. We would, however, remind you that there are a number of items on the agenda, and we would appreciate your efforts to make your remarks as concise as possible. We ask that anyone with a cell phone, please turn them off or switch to non-audio so you will not disturb the meeting. If joining us virtually or by phone, we ask that you mute your phone when not speaking to avoid background noise so you will not disturb the meeting. Once the petitioners make their presentation, anyone for or against will be allowed the maximum 3 minutes to state their views. As you come to the microphone, please state your name and city for the record if attending in person. This is also your time to raise your hand if you're joining us virtually. When your name is called, please state your name and city for the record. The mayor and commission are required to disclose contacts with proponents or opponents on any item on the planning and zoning agenda. At this time, does any member of the commission wish to disclose any contacts with proponents or opponents on any item on the agenda?
Okay. Do any members of the commission? I'm sorry, clerk. Give me a second. Clerk, I'm not seeing any disclosures.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I take that back. Commissioner Lopez?
This is for the consent and non-consent together, or just the consent?
Any item on the agenda.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to set aside.
Oh, no, not set aside any contact.
Clerk, I'm not seeing any at this point. You
Okay.
can,
At this time, I'll read the items on the consent agenda. Change of zone applications, item number 1, COZ 2023-035, Ryan Dink. Change of zone from MP1 Planned Light Industrial and Industrial Park District to MP3 Planned Heavy Industrial District to construct a laydown yard at 1625 South 86th Street. Recommended for approval by a vote of 5-0 to MP2 General Industrial District. Item 2, COZ 2024-003, Dana Blay with DBL Architecture, change of zone from CP-0 planned non-retail business and C-3 commercial districts to CP-3 planned commercial district to construct a new C-store, retail shops, and gas station at 1200 Central Avenue, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Item 3, COZ 2024-007, Jake Young. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to AG Agricultural District for agricultural use at 1435 and 1501 South 88th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Item 4, COZ 2024-008, Jose Perez Cardenas, change of zone from R1 Single Family District to AG Agricultural District to keep animals on the property at 4140 North 60th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Item 5, COZ 2024-010, Alicia Vaughn with alter support, change of zone from R1 Single Family District to CP1 Plan Limited Business District to convert a portion of the building into office and retail uses at 9151 Parallel Parkway, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0 to CPO Plan Non-Retail Business District. Item 6, COZ 2024-011, Cassandra Patrick with SMH Consultants, change of zone from R1 Single Family and M2 General Industrial Districts, to MP2 Planned General Industrial District to expand an industrial warehouse at 1323 South 59th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Special use permit applications. Item 1, SP 2023-117, Ryan Dink, renewal of a special use permit to continue on-site grading and dirt removal at 1625 South 86th Street, recommended for denial by a vote of 5-0. Item 2, SP 2024-002, Andy Jarrett, special use permit to operate a used automotive dealership and auto repair at 8022 Leavenworth Road, recommended for denial by a vote of 6-0. Item 3, SP 2024-015, Jeffrey Kigney, renewal of a special use permit for a short-term rental at 4410 Rainbow Boulevard, recommended for approval by a vote of 5-0 for 2 years. Item 4, SP 2024-016, Alicia Vaughn with alter support, special use permit for a daycare at 9151 Parallel Parkway, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0 for 2 years. Item 5, SP 2024-017, Chad Wolf, special use permit for stockpiling of excavated materials at 1911 Fox Ridge Drive, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0 for 2 years. Item 6, SP 2024-019, Aaron J. Woodson, special use permit for a short-term rental at 7917 Jerome Avenue, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0 for 1 year. Item 7, SP 2024-020, Aaron March, renewal and expansion of a special use permit for extracting material and fill with state-approved rubble and recycling and adding the production and stockpiling of sand at 8205 and 8251 R Caw Drive and 2103 South 84th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 5-0 for 10 years. Item 8, SP 2024-022, Aaron March, renewal and expansion of a special use permit for a sand plant dredging operation and adding the production and stockpiling of sand at 2400 South 78th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 5-0 for 10 years. Vacation application. Item 1, VAC 2024-002. Gary Calvert Senior with Calvert Express Real, vacation of a utility easement to construct a new drive-through bank at 7908 State Avenue, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Plan review application. Item 1, PR 2024-005, Willie Brantley Jr. Preliminary development plan to construct a prefabricated commercial building at 1718 North 13th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Master plan amendments. Item 1, MPL 2024-002, Dana Blay with DBL Architecture. Master plan amendment from urban density central area plan to community commercial central area plan at 16 North 12th Street in conjunction with COZ 2024-003, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Item 2, MPL 2024-003, Houston Defoe with Blue Palm LLC, master plan amendment from general urban central area plan to mixed use central area plan at 204 Orchard Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Item 3, MPL 2024-005, Alicia Vaughn with alter support, Master Plan Amendment from Mixed Use Residential Prairie Delaware Piper Area Plan to Plan Small Commercial Prairie Delaware Piper Area Plan in conjunction with COZ 2024-010, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Item 4, MPL 2024-006, Cassandra Patrick with SMH Consultants. Master Plan Amendment from Public, Semi-Public, and Rural Density Residential Plan KCK Comprehensive Plan to Industrial Plan KCK Comprehensive Plan in conjunction with COZ 2024-011, recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0. Miscellaneous ordinances. Item 1, an ordinance rezoning property at 1198-1200 North 134th Street from R Residential District to AG Agricultural District, recommended for approval. Item 2, an ordinance rezoning property at 9400 State Avenue from AG Agricultural District to CP2 Planned General Business District, recommended for approval. Item 3, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit to continue operation of transitional housing for youth at 3535 Wood Avenue, recommended for approval. Item 4, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for a group dwelling for up to 14 veterans at 1026 Ann Avenue, recommended for approval. Item 5, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit for a short-term rental at 2614 South 27th Street, recommended for approval. Item 6, an ordinance rezoning property at 804 South 89th Street from AG Agricultural District to R1 Single Family District, recommended for approval. Item 7, an ordinance authorizing a special use permit to operate an automotive dealership at 401 Kansas Avenue, recommended for approval. This represents all of the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Clerk. Do any members of the commission, the county administrator, or the public wish to set aside any item on the planning and zoning consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the planning and zoning consent agenda will be voted on by one vote to follow the recommendations of the planning commission. Clerk, has anyone contacted your office to set aside an item?
No one has contacted the clerk's office. We do have a hand raised online.
Is there anyone in attendance that would like to set aside an item? Seeing none. Clerk, I believe you said there's someone joining us virtually.
We have Ryan Dank online. Mr. Dink, did you wish to set aside an item?
Yes, two items. Items A1, which is change of zone application 2023-35. And item B1, which is special use permit 2023-117.
Thank you.
Okay.
Move for approval for all remaining items.
Excuse me, sorry, James Malloy, Planning and Urban Design. We've got 3 items we want to set aside to the non-consent agenda too.
Before I entertain these motions, you want to go through those set aside requests?
Yeah, sure thing. It'll be items A5, change of zone 2024-010, B4, SP 2024-016, and E3, MPL 2024-005. We just want to provide some clarification before you guys take a vote on it.
Okay. Clerk, were you able to record those set asides?
We do have them.
Okay.
Are those the only ones?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing no other set asides, again, I'll entertain a motion to approve the planning. All right, we've got a motion to approve items that were not removed. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Commissioner Stites?
Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself from the consent agenda vote due to conflict of interest with 2 of the items.
Noted. Clerk, can you note that for the record?
Noted.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Kane.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That takes us to our set asides. Clerk, can you read the first one?
We have 2 items that are related. The first one is item change of zone application COZ 2023-035 Ryan Dink Change of zone from MP1 Planned Light Industrial and Industrial Park District to MP3 Planned Heavy Industrial District to construct a laydown yard at 1625 South 88th Street, recommended for approval by a vote of 5-0 to MP2 General Industrial District. The related item is item B1, Special Use Permit SP 2023-117. Ryan Dank, renewal of a special use permit to continue on-site grading and dirt removal at 1625 South 86th Street, recommended for denial by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Is there someone from staff that can make some remarks in regards to these citizens?
Sure thing, Mayor. James Malloy, Planning and Urban Design. Again, as mentioned, we've got a change of zone and a special use permit here. The special use permit is. Sorry, is this better? All right. My bad, first time up here. Yep, so this is so again, this is a change of zone and a special use permit together. Change of zone would be amending the zoning from AG and MP1 to AG and MP2. They want to do a laydown yard, and then the special use permit is a renewal of a special use permit for dirt removal. This would be their, if I'm not mistaken, seventh approval, sixth renewal. At Planning Commission, the change of zone was recommended for approval, but the special use permit was recommended for denial. The applicant has asked to, he wants to remand it back to Planning Commission for further consideration. Staff agrees with that. Sorry, that is all at the moment.
Thank you. Is the applicant or representative present? Clerk,
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
go ahead.
This is Ryan Dank on behalf of the applicant. We would agree with Mr. Malloy. Both of these items are related. The change of zone was recommended for approval. The special use permit was recommended for denial. It related to our request to reduce some of the buffer areas for this dirt removal operation. And we have, since the Planning Commission meeting, we've had continued discussions with staff relating to parameters for the special use permit, which it's our understanding would be acceptable to staff. And so we want to get that remanded back to Planning Commission so we can continue to work through those issues, submit revised engineering plans, and tee it up for the Planning Commission to reconsider the matter. Like, as Mr. Malloy said, we've had discussion with staff and they are in agreement with that. Well, with that, I'd be happy to field any questions.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing. Ask the clerk have you received any notification on the public who wish to express their comments in favor of this item?
No comments were received.
Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of this item? Seeing none, is there anyone joining us virtually, clerk, who would like to speak in favor of this item?
No hands are raised.
Clerk, have you received any notification from who would like to speak in opposition of this item?
No comments received.
Clerk, is there anyone present? I'm sorry, is there anyone present in the audience who would like to speak in opposition to this item? Clerk, is there anyone joining us virtually who would like to speak in opposition?
No hands are raised.
I'll now close the public hearing. Petitioner, would you like to make some closing remarks?
Nothing further.
Okay. Do any members of the commission have any questions or comments? Commissioner King?
Are we voting to approve one and then voting to send the other one back, or are we sending them both back, Dink?
We're sending them both back because when we revise the special use permit in the buffer areas, we're going to need to revise the site plan for the change of zone.
Okay. Move to send this back to planning and zoning for further clarification.
And real quick, James Malloy, Planning and Urban Design. I want to clarify, we would need to send this to set this on the July Planning Commission agenda. So just so we have enough time to provide proper notice to nearby property owners and revise plans.
Okay, hold that motion. Okay. Do any ever other members of the commission have any questions or comments? Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, clerk. I believe I have to entertain a motion for each one separately. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Clerk, read the first item that this commission will be considering.
The first item is change of zone application COZ 2023-035 Ryan Dink. Change of zone from MP1 Planned Light Industrial and Industrial Park District to MP3 Planned Heavy Industrial District to construct a laydown yard at 1625 South 86th Street.
Thank you, clerk. I'll now entertain a motion for that item.
Move to send that particular item she just read back to planning and zoning, which will be heard in July.
Second. There's a motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
motion carries.
Clerk, can you read that next item?
The related item is special use permit SP 2023-117. Renewal of a special use permit to continue on-site grading and dirt removal at 1625 South 86th Street.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move to send when she just said again back for planning and zoning for the July hearing for further clarification.
Mayor, second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call, Kane, Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you. Clerk, can you read the next set aside, please?
The next item has three particular parts to it. The first one is change of zone application 2024-010. Alicia Vaughn with alter support. Change of zone from R1 Single Family District to CP1 Plan Limited Business District to convert a portion of the building into office and retail uses at 9151 Parallel Parkway. Second item is special use permit SP 2024-016. Special use permit for a daycare at 9151 Parallel Parkway. And the final related item is master plan amendment MPL 2024-005. Master plan amendment for planned mixed residential to planned small commercial in conjunction with the other items.
Clerk, can you read the first one?
The first item
Yes.
is A5 COZ 2024-010. Alicia Vaughn with alter support, change of zone from R1 Single Family District to CP1 Plan Limited Business District to convert a portion of the building into office and retail uses at 9151 Parallel Parkway. This was recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0 to CPO Plan Non-Retail Business District.
Thank you. Staff, you have some remarks?
Sure thing. Thank you, Mayor. James Malloy, Planning and Urban Design. This is, again, three items: a change of zone, a special use permit, and a master plan amendment. The applicant has constructed and is wanting to operate a daycare facility on site. This is in the this is just just east of the Legends on Parallel Parkway, kind of in between the Legends and Providence Medical Center here. Staff previously have received no support, no opposition, a couple NOVs for debris, but that's been taken care of due to construction on the property. Staff has asked these items to be removed from the consent agenda because we have kind of a unique case here we want to provide some context on. So essentially, if the Board of Commissioners moves to approve both the change of zone and the master plan amendment, the special use permit would in essence no longer be needed, and we would ask the applicant to withdraw that if, assuming the commission moves to approve the change of zone and master plan. If not, then we would, if for whatever reason you choose not to approve the change of zone and master plan, we would ask then the special use permit be approved. Applicant filed it this way, just so they kind of have that safety net. If one doesn't get approved, the other does, they can continue their operation. So we wanted to remove this from consent just to provide that clarification.
Clerk, were all these the ones you read related?
Yes.
Okay. Staff, are there any other remarks? Is that consistent with the other two items? Or-
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask the applicant, our representative to present their application, make some remarks.
We have someone from Alter Support online. Go ahead and state your name.
Ladina Washington, Kansas City.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ladina Washington, and I'm standing here for Alter. We're just here to simply change our zoning from residential over to commercial. We had full approval, and so we're just kind of looking for the same thing and the same support to be approved on this level with the full commission.
Okay, thank you. I'll now open the public hearing. Clerk, have you received any notification on who wish to express their comments in favor of the item?
No comments received.
Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of the item? Seeing none, is there anyone joining us virtually? Clerk would like to speak in favor.
No hands are raised.
Clerk, have you received any notification from the public who wish to express their comments in opposition?
No comments received.
Is there anyone present who would like to speak in opposition to this item? Seeing none, clerk, is there anyone joining us virtually who would like to speak in opposition to this item?
No hands are raised.
I'll close the public hearing. Do any members of the commission have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, is this for change of zone 2024?
Well, we'll start with the first one, clerk.
Okay, so this would be for change of zone COZ 2024-010.
Bynum, so move.
I think Commissioner Davis had a question.
Sorry.
I just wanted to clarify because I think I kind of lost where we are at here. This item was requested to be removed off consent by staff.
Correct. So
Okay.
let me, may have gone a little fast there, so let me kind of
Okay,
break
thank
this
you.
down. So essentially, the reason we requested to remove it from consent was essentially to kind of clarify how the vote would need to work. So assuming you're approving the change of zone and master plan amendment, we would then ask either the commission to hold over the special use permit or the applicant can ask to withdraw the special use permit. If for whatever reason you don't approve the change of zone master plan amendment and want to approve a special use permit instead, then we would do the inverse. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Administrator.
So to get,
There you go.
oh, that thing. Oh, there we go. There's the light. All right. So to get hopefully further clarification. If the commission positively passes the first two, then that opens up the petitioner to ask to remove the other one.
Correct. And I'm,
Because there would be no need for a special use permit if you get the change in the zone and master plan.
correct.
So that's what you're being eventually asked to do, pass two things and then see if the person will remove the other one.
And if the applicant for whatever reason doesn't withdraw the special use permit, it would, the commission we would recommend the commission hold it over and then we can deal with that.
Right.
After the fact.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand how everything, the options and everything. So what is staff recommending? Which way should we go?
To James Malloy Planning and Urban Design to essentially make it easier down the line for the applicant, we would recommend the change of zone and master plan amendment be approved because a daycare is allowed by right, whereas if they weren't changing the zone, they would have to get a special use permit and continuously renew it.
Okay, thank you.
I entertain a motion. I think I already had one. Commissioner Bynum made a motion for yes.
On
So
A5, motion to approve A5.
Okay,
change of zone.
and there's a second from Commissioner Kane. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane.
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Clerk, read that next item.
The next item would be master plan amendment. When did I get to it? Master Plan Amendment MPL 2025-005. Master Plan Amendment from Plan Mixed Residential to Plan Small Commercial. Recommended for approval by a vote of 6-0.
Motion.
Bynum, move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Clerk, next item.
The last related item is the special use permit. Get back to it. Special use permit SP 2024-016, special use permit for a daycare at 9151 Parallel Parkway.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion? Thank you, counsel. Let me back up. Petitioner, applicant, would you like to make any closing comments on any of these three items before we conclude this?
No, Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate everything you guys are doing, and I like the way the motion's carried out.
All right. Okay. Commissioner said that, Commissioner Kane said that's the first two. No comment on the last one, petitioner?
And then for the special use permit, we've already spoken to Mr. Malloy. And so since the other two have passed, of course, we're going to go ahead and withdraw the special use permit as soon as this is over.
Okay, thank you, petitioner.
Mhm.
Do any commissioner have any other comments or questions? If not, motion. I'm entertaining a motion.
Yes.
I guess the petitioner withdrew. So I guess that ends that portion. Clerk, are there any more set asides?
No more set asides.
All right. That takes us to the planning zoning non-consent agenda. Clerk, can you read the first item in detail?
First item is change of zone application COZ 2024-004. Fred Del Toro, change of zone from R1 Single Family District to AG Agricultural District to utilize the property for agricultural purposes at 3612 Emmons Drive. Recommended for denial by a vote of 6-4. I will note the applicant has requested this application be held over to the next Board of Commission meeting since he is out of the country.
Okay. Before I entertain a motion, is there anyone present in the chambers or online that wishes to speak about this item? Clerk.
No comments received. We have no hands raised online.
I'll now open the public hearing and ask the clerk. Have you received any public indications to be in support of this item?
No comments were received.
Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of the item? Seeing none, clerk, is there anyone joining us virtually again who would like to speak in favor?
No hands are raised.
Clerk, have you received any notifications from the public wishing to express their comments in opposition?
No comments received.
Is there anyone present who'd like to speak in opposition to the item? Clerk, is there anyone joining us virtually?
No hands are raised.
I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Yes, Commissioner Bynum.
I would request, I would make a motion that we hold it over to the June meeting to give the applicant the opportunity to be present.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk roll call.
Roll call, Kane. Lopez.
Aye.
Stites, Davis.
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Clerk, can you read the next item?
Next item is special use permit SP 2023-122 Andrew Mall. Special use permit for a short-term rental at 6115 Oak Grove Road. Recommended for approval by a vote of 6-1 for 1 year.
Thank you, Clerk. I'll ask the applicant, come forward, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Commissioners. Andrew Mall. I live at 4776 Black Swan Drive in Shawnee. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, and we just are looking for an approval of our special use permit. As a reminder, some of the challenges we had was finding the easement, which we have located. I've also received a letter in support from the neighbor who holds that easement. So now we have gained support of the neighbor. And just as a reminder, I live 5 minutes away, and this is just merely to help keep my 82, almost 83-year-old mother-in-law in place so that we can help cover costs. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing. Clerk, have you received any notifications from anyone in the public who wishes to express their comments in favor?
No comments received.
Is there anyone present who'd like to speak in favor of the item? Clerk, is there anyone joining us virtually who'd like to speak in favor?
No hands are raised.
Clerk, have you received any public notification from anyone who wished to express their comments in opposition?
No comments received.
Is there anyone present who'd like to speak in opposition to this item? Seeing none, is there anyone joining us virtually who'd like to speak in opposition to the item?
No hands are raised.
I'll close the public hearing. Petitioner, would you like to make some closing comments?
No, thank you. No further.
Okay, do any members of the commission have any questions? Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be supportive of this because there's this is pretty much like a landlock. And a shared driveway, and I've seen the driveway. To me, it's a huge safety factor. You drive up the driveway, my dually won't even fit through there without scraping rocks. And then God forbid if there was a safety issue, especially if there's like a foot of snow on the ground. I mean, my whole thing was how fast can firefighters get where they need to get to? It's a long driveway. And it's just hard for me to be in supportive of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mall. I understand it is a shared driveway and you have a letter of support on it. My only hesitation, and this is a discussion Commissioner Bynum and I have had pertaining to our current STR ordinance of shared driveways. I'm not in support of the shared driveways for certain reasons. The only thing I'm hesitant on is us prematurely setting a precedent if we bring forward changes to not allow shared driveways with STRs. And so that comes into play is how do we handle this application once we get to that point? And so I don't, and then I speak for myself, I do not speak for Commissioner Bynum, but that's just my only hesitation at the moment is that aspect of the thought of those bringing forward changes and then prematurely setting a precedent. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner King.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Mike King, District 5. We got shared driveways everywhere. I mean, just because it's a rental property wouldn't change it one way or the other. I mean, you go out west, they're there. And I mean, you can't believe how many shared driveways that are out there. So I don't think that should factor in. We're asking people to come and do projects like this in our area. And he's 5 minutes away. You know, he now has a written slip from the neighbor saying it's okay. So how do we tell the neighbor we know more about their property than we do? It's just things to think about.
Thank you, Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you. I'll make sure I understood what Commissioner Ramirez said, although we did have a conversation between ourselves and then a conversation with Director of Urban Planning, and we don't like the concept of the shared driveway for a short-term rental. That strikes us as potentially contentious down the road. Because one of those two activities is a residence and the other one is a business activity. And so with that being said, I think what I heard you say, Commissioner, was right now under ordinance, it's allowed. We've not made any changes to the ordinance to say that this is something we will not allow. And therefore, if we're going to state right now that we are not in favor of this because of the shared driveway, then that is setting a bit of a precedent. So with that, I will say, for the record, as we look to modify the ordinance, I would not be in favor of a shared driveway for a short-term rental going forward. But in this case, we haven't made that change. And so I would make a motion to approve for the 1-year period.
Kane, second.
Okay, before I entertain those motions, Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, that was the whole thing I was talking about too, was it's a shared driveway. The lady is in completely opposition that lives in front of the house. She doesn't know who's coming up down that driveway. I know that Commissioner Kane was talking about there's shared driveways where there's neighbors. They know each other. They use those all the time. This is different. It's commercial property now where they don't know who's coming up and down the driveway. They don't know. They just don't know. And that's a huge concern. And then my question to Andrew Mall is how long have you been operating this without a special use permit already?
As soon as we were notified, we stopped and went through this process. We filed the application back in December and I've been back and forth here for
Right.
6 months.
Right. But I pulled it up too, and it's still, anybody can, at this point can still.
Actually, it's a month to month rental right now, which the UG, I believe the ordinance says anything under 30 days is considered a short-term rental. And so we did consult with staff about that. And it was our understanding that this would not be operating as short-term.
Okay. I just, those are my two biggest issues is commercial property versus residential, sharing the driveway. And then the safety factor is huge. It's a long driveway that even my dually can't even fit back there. Versus a full-on ambulance if it needed to be. And then I had to put it in four-wheel drive just to back out of there. So I don't even know if ambulances have four-wheel drive or not, but anyway, okay.
Thank Commissioner Davis, I'm sorry.
Yes, Davis District 8. So as I understand it, because goodness, you said December and I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel like I know you, like we have a really good relationship now because you've been here so often. So as I just want to make sure I'm understanding this, you have spoken with the neighbors and they are in agreement with this arrangement.
So the one neighbor that was in opposition is not here tonight.
Okay.
And I don't know that she is still in opposition, but the neighbor that I actually share the driveway with.
Okay.
And that I actually have the easement with.
Yes.
Has written a letter in support of this.
And we have that in record, staff.
Yeah, so originally the holder of the easement had submitted a letter of a letter of opposition to staff. However, I guess with discussions between the petitioner and him, he changed his letter from a letter of opposition to a letter of support. So at the current time, he's in support.
Okay, I just want to make sure we got that in record because we will have to codify a new process. But at the very least, if we're talking about a precedent, the precedent that we are setting is that until something is codified, there has to be some agreement between the two parties prior to us saying yes. And so if we do have another situation that does come up before we reform our STR process, this is one of the things that has been considered that we are making sure we take into account. So I'm in favor of the motion in a second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Who made the motion?
Commissioner Bynum?
And what was that motion, Commissioner? I'm sorry. Okay, and we had a second? Yes. Commissioner Kane had a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk roll call.
Roll call. Kane?
Aye.
Lopez?
No.
Stites? Davis?
Aye.
Bynum?
Aye.
Burns?
No.
Ramirez?
Aye.
Hill?
No.
Motion fails. Vote, Mayor.
Just clarity for the record. There was a vote for approval by the planning commission. Is that correct? Okay,
Correct.
and I believe I have to vote to break this tie. Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right. Thank you. All right. Clerk, please take us to the next item.
Next item is special use permit SP 2024-013, Miles McMillan with the Automotive Game Changers. Special use permit to operate a used automobile sales lot at 7609 Leavenworth Road. Recommended for denial by a vote of 5-1.
Thank you, clerk. I'll ask the staff to make some opening remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. James Malloy, Planning and Urban Design. Again, we have a special use permit for an auto dealership with minor repairs. This is in the planned KCK area, kind of the North Midtown area along Leavenworth Road. To date, staff has received no support, no opposition. There's a history of notices of violation on this property for several things, be it inoperable vehicles, debris, weeds. There's a bit of a history. Planning Commission denied the petitioner's request due to the petitioner not attending the meeting. We had held it over at the April meeting to give them a chance to show up. We were in contact with them. May meeting, they've not shown up. So it was recommended for denial. Staff does have conditions of approval if need be.
Thank you. Is the representative or applicant available, clerk?
There's no one online.
Okay. I'll open the public hearing. Clerk, have you received any notifications from the public who wish to express their comments in favor?
No comments were received.
Is there anyone present who'd like to speak in favor of the item? Clerk, is anyone joining us virtually who'd like to speak in favor of the item?
No hands are raised.
Clerk, have you received any notification from the public who'd like to notifying you of their opposition?
No comments are received.
Is there anyone present who'd like to speak in opposition of the item? Clerk, is there anyone joining us virtually who'd like to speak in opposition of the item?
No hands are raised.
I'll close the public hearing. Petitioner, would you, again, an opportunity? Is the petitioner available for comments? Seeing none. Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. If you could, put on the screen the one that's the actual photograph. I've been struggling to get to the documents in our packet tonight, my technical inabilities. And I was also not understanding the denial but you've explained that because it's clearly always been automobile repair and dealer like forever. And we're gonna deny that use. And I wasn't understanding why. And I don't know if this is a new owner or a new tenant. What can you tell us about this applicant, if anything?
Yes, of course. So, I mean, as James Malloy, Planning and Urban Design, got to train myself to do that. Anyhow, as Commissioner Bynum has stated, it's clearly been an auto repair shop for, the entire time that it's been built. So in our code, we have kind of a group, since we implemented our current ordinance for special use permits, there is something known as legal nonconformance. So once a business that was operating prior to enactment of the ordinance, once it goes out of business, the property has 2 years to, start a new business license. In this case, the last business license on record terminated December 31st, 2020. Whether there's been someone operating there or not, they've not come back for the business license. So this current new operator, when he filed for his business license, that's when this was caught. And, now it's subject to our special use permit ordinance. Hope that answers your question.
I think it mostly does. So he filed for his business license to repair cars or sell cars or both?
Both.
Okay, and so with the special use permit, that's automobile sales. But as far as automobile repair, that's allowed right now, correct?
No, ma'am. Both uses would need to get a special use permit from this point on, because that legal nonconformance has expired.
Okay. All right, so it doesn't matter what the zoning of this property is.
I mean, it would matter in terms of if they could do the uses, but it's zoned properly for either use. It's just, does an operator come for a special use permit or not?
It's not.
Go ahead.
So what you're saying, the current zoning code, this is not a permitted use.
Not permitted by right. It's permitted with an approved special use.
Right,
permit.
that's.
Yeah.
Thank you, Administrator, Commissioner King.
Thank you, Mayor. So do you have some restrictions or something that you could put on this? Because I don't ever remember this not being an auto repair. And I lived on 65th Terrace a long time ago. Is there something that these folks can do to appease what you folks need to get this passed through?
Originally, I mean, staff recommended approval originally. The reason this was recommended for denial by the planning commission was the applicant did not show up to the hearing, but staff did recommend approval with conditions.
I make a motion for approval with staff's recommendations.
Davis, second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burns.
No.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Mayor, we need your vote.
Wow, it's nice, my lucky day, isn't it? Get to vote. Wow. Bill special. Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. I believe that takes us to the end of the planning and zoning agenda. We will now move to the regular portion of our agenda, which is our regular consent agenda. Do any members of the commission and county administrator wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. Is there a motion?
Move to approve all items as submitted.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
motion carries.
Right. This takes us to the standing committee agenda. The only item under the standing committee agenda is approval of changes in our ordinances related to mobile vending operations. This item was heard by the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee at a special meeting on May 15th, 2024, chaired by Commissioner Davis. The committee approved the item with a vote of 4-1. I'll ask Commissioner Davis to make some remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we have staff here to make a presentation. I'll just kind of stress, this was not an ideal legislative process. It really took us, I mean, we were there 3 hours, right? About 3 hours, really trying to hammer out policy that could get at least a majority on board. I know there will be some additional discussions on whether or not what is permitted will be adopted tonight, but please do keep that in mind. I think everybody tried to give us something and find a compromise. So with that, hand it over to staff.
Thank you. Do any staff, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Ross Stewart, Legal Department. There was a presentation in your packet, PowerPoint. This is the same presentation that was given to the Standing Committee, Neighborhood and Community Development. I believe this was back from, what date was that? May 15th. Ultimately, this came about because of community and business concerns. Recent enforcement actions began after there were complaints by residents in neighborhoods with high concentrations of mobile vending. We had resident complaints that included complaints about trash, noise, distance of mobile vending to homes and residences. We also had concerns from mobile vendors. They had expressed that they had concerns because of the operating hours in our current ordinances. They felt they were too restrictive. We also had concerns from brick and mortar food establishments. They brought concerns because they had mobile vendors that were parking closely to their businesses. And so after having those concerns being raised, we looked at the current ordinances that we had, and we're only addressing right now public right of way. So that's the only thing we're looking at right now. We have mobile vending that's occurring from food trucks or other mobile vendors on private parking lots. That's not being addressed with this ordinance update. That will come later to another Planning and Zoning Commission meeting here after it goes through standing committee. So ultimately, this is kind of the first round of addressing this issue for the commission, and then it will probably come back again for the private vending. But that being said, it would be best practice to have those mirror each other, because it would be incongruent if you had someone parking on the street and have different hours versus the hours that they would be parking in a private lot vending. The current ordinances that we have right now have hours of operations that are from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday. Those have currently been, well, we're on a moratorium right now where those aren't being enforced. Mobile vending unit can only sit at one site for 4 hours. There's also parts of this where in public right of way, you're not allowed to park in a residential area, so you can't park in a neighborhood street. You can do that for a block party. Block shut down, you can bring in a food truck when that party's over under our current ordinances. You have to move it out. All mobile vendors are required to provide trash and recycling receptacles. That's a requirement. It's supposed to cut down on trash. It's supposed to cut down on refuse that'll be left out. The way that we had proposed this ordinance to the Neighborhood and Community Standing Committee that we brought forth was one where it allowed them to consider different times from different stakeholders that came out to talk about it. So there was a lot of public input at that meeting and at the first meeting that the standing committee had held on this item. And that form ordinance allowed all those stakeholders to come in and talk about it, and then allowed the standing committee to consider all their concerns, then come with a proposal and recommendation to y'all today. So all the considerations that they had, these are the hours that they looked at. They also looked at other suggestions from citizens and residents and business owners. You can see that 8 a.m. was still the starting time that was suggested. And then you have periods of time where the mobile vending unit could sit. So would it be 8 hours? Would it be no limit? You could stay there as long as you want and leave your mobile vending unit on the street that whole time. There's also another option for a period of time as determined by the standing committee. There was a recommendation to not allow a mobile vending unit to park sit on the street for 8 hours, vend, then close up, and then just sit in that spot and store their vehicle overnight. There's a recommendation not to do that, just so that we allow traffic to come in and out of those spots as mobile vending units leave. There are also a few other updates that were proposed. Mobile vending units shouldn't park in a fire lane. Mobile vending units shouldn't park, or vehicles shouldn't park in an electrical charging station unless they are electrical vehicles. Mobile vending units shall not operate electronic devices to amplify music or sound. And then there was also some light and signage restriction that we included as well. We also had 100 feet ban from providing or from vending to a brick and mortar food establishment. And so that was something where we're trying to find a good compromise for business owners that are having operators park their mobile vending vehicles in front of their businesses. And so this was best practice that we proposed. Also, displaying of your fire inspection and approval. I believe it's a sticker. We called it signage, but whatever you receive that shows that you've been inspected, you've been approved. That was also a proposal. And I think I covered the next slide already. Yes, so I covered this. There's also a portion of this that was about illegal dumping of food waste and cooking oil. I had heard from our Public Works Department, I think we pulled the UG had pulled a 3 cubic foot block of cooking food waste or oil. It could have been food waste oil. We're presuming that's what it was, down around 18th and Central. We wanted to make sure that that is addressed because that is a concern for our infrastructure. And so there was a proposal to raise essentially the fine and raising that class of misdemeanor for dumping food waste, which we classify as garbage under our ordinances. It would raise the fine to $1,000. Would also raise the maximum jail penalty to 12 months. So those are all the proposals that were brought forth. The standing committee considered all of those, and their recommendations are included in the ordinance, the proposed ordinance that was given to y'all. But ultimately, the hours of operations would be 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. And then on the weekend, it'd be Friday, 8 a.m. until midnight, as well as Saturday, 8 a.m. until midnight. There was an inclusion of a proximity of operation ban in the right of way where you wouldn't be able to be a mobile food vendor and vend 100 feet from the parcel line of a brick and mortar establishment. So there was a change with it where it wasn't the front door anymore. It'd be easier for us to determine that based on the parcel. And that was a recommendation, I believe, from planning department. Length of time restrictions were included in this recommendation where there would be an 8-hour recommendation of a limit. So a mobile vendor could park in one spot and vend for 8 hours from that spot with the understanding that they cannot park their vehicle there overnight. So you can't lock that spot down 24/7 on a public street or right of way and leave your vehicle there overnight. You can park there for 8 hours and vend. You can move to another spot, vend there as well if you'd like to within those hours of time allowed. There are other changes as well, including the no parking in a fire lane, no parking in an electrical charging station unless you have an electrical vehicle that is charging. You can't park your mobile vending vehicle there. No amplification of music or sound from the vendor or from the mobile vehicle. And then no lights or signs that would be flashing, having a rotating beam or a flashing beacon, and no lighting or signage that would be pointed towards a residentially zoned area or traffic for safety concerns. Lastly, there was a recommendation of increasing the illegal food waste and cooking oil dumping. And that recommendation was to increase the fine to $1,000 minimum and also to increase the jail penalty to a maximum of 6 months, which in the state of Kansas, that just brings us from a Class B to a Class A misdemeanor is what we've done with that. And so those were the recommendations, of the standing committee. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was the one who voted no. I was the one of the 4-1. I agree with the time changes and everything that we made, but one aspect, and that is the amplification of sound and music. And I know that is a big concern that a lot of community members bring forward when it pertains to our our mobile vending operators. I would like to bring that back for discussion. If it's in the will of the commission not to change it, I will accept it. But I would like to make my case for it. This last weekend, I was at the Walmart in Westwood. It's down the street from me, but across the street is 1889 Pizza. It's a brick and mortar shop. They had music playing as well. I could hear it in the parking lot of the Walmart. That was beyond the 50-foot requirement of outside amplification of sound. For me, it's a cultural aspect. Throughout time and the creation of our world, music has been integral in every culture. It's who we are. And I don't want us to strike out an aspect of culture for the benefit of others. That's how I see it. And I don't want people to take it in any other different way, but that's just how I feel. And again, as I said, if it's not the will of this commission to change it, I will accept it and we can move on. But I'm still wanting to fight for what I believe and what I think is right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez.
I just want to be on the record that I'm for these food trucks as long as they play by the rules. I'm a small business owner. I get it. I know what it's like to earn and keep. I started out with nothing. I used to be electrical lineman for Power Electric. I started out with a lineman paycheck. I asked the bank for 20 grand, they wouldn't give it to me. So I said, screw it, I'm gonna do it myself. And I've built something really big that I've done by myself. So I know where you're at. Now, I think the reason why we're here tonight is because some others has ruined it, playing music till 3 o'clock in the morning, being open. I've gotten emails from, it's like Commissioner Burns has gotten emails from people that are like, dude, what is going on? We are trying to sleep. There's crazy. They're up until 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes later. And then there's nothing good going on at 3 o'clock in the morning at all, but crime at that late. But I understand, we gotta have different hours, because the hours is like, okay, this doesn't make sense. These guys need to make some money. I get it. You guys are working hard. I've been there. I'm still there. I know where you guys are at. But as long as they play by the rules, but we need, I agree, we need to, the hours is what I was reading is I think it's respectable. But not 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's out of line. There's people trying to sleep. But again, I think the reason why we're here is there's music being played, just boom, 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 and people are trying to sleep. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think we'd even be here about the whole spiel. And then all the grease being dumped, and then I'm sure there's food owners here that are respectable, that they're just like, hey, we're playing by the rules. We're supposed to be doing what we need to do. And I get that. But yeah, I'm all for, these hours. They're actually respectable. That's, but at the same time, are you paying, pay your sales tax and pay your business license fees and whatever fees you got to pay. I got to pay them. In my business, I have to pay them. Oh, that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burns.
The music thing shouldn't even be considered. I've received phone calls since I was sworn in about the music. And also when people come up, the customers, and they're loud trucks and everything else, it's a nuisance to the residents there. I represent those people. All they want is for everybody to get along. The hours, I recommended the C which is 11 to 11. That would keep the neighbors in good grace with that. To extend them any longer, you're going to get the noise again and the complaints, and we're going to be right back here where we're at. I'm for the food vendors. That gentleman in the front row does it the right way. I know he does. We just need to get this thing resolved, but to extend it to midnight or after, we're back where we started. And I thought being liberal, 11-11, and it's my district. You know, you don't get the phone calls. You don't live in that area. I do. So I recommend the hours from 11 to 11.
Thank you, Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you. I have a comment and a question. Today I received a number of emails that were the same from 5 or 6 different individuals, I believe. I'm in favor of what the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee has put forward. I'm in favor of what's in front of us tonight. But I had a comment and a question based on a couple of emails I've received. One of the comments is part of the email says the noise disturbance late at night can be mitigated by the current noise ordinance. And I kind of am like, I don't think so, or we wouldn't be here. I don't, and the other part of that is a police call. So a noise disturbance is a call to the police, which means it requires a police response. And that is what has in part brought us here to these changes that we're talking about, partly because of the noise. So I'm not satisfied that the noise ordinance mitigates the noise issue, or that would have been taken care of a long time ago. Question is, the second request is remove the 100-foot proximity ban. Proximity bans are unconstitutional. And I'm asking you that as a question because I don't believe that's the case. We have them in other circumstances. So I'm just asking legal to weigh in because I got that statement. I got this identical email from 5 or 6 different names today with this statement in it. And so I'm just asking you to clarify that that is true or not true.
Happy to. Ross Stewart, Legal Department. We looked at this today and yesterday, and we determined that under Kansas law, it is likely not unconstitutional. We did not find case law that would indicate so. There are cases from other states where this was found to be unconstitutional by their courts, Florida, Texas. The last state is escaping me, but the reason that their bans from our determination weren't upheld was that they were outright banning food trucks essentially. So you couldn't have a mobile vending unit in a city that has a proximity ban because it was 500 feet from a business, but every 500 feet there's a business. So you can't operate in the city, or dictating you couldn't be in a certain part of the city at all, downtown business districts. So there were bans they weren't really proximity bans. We're calling them that, but it wasn't allowing any access whatsoever. There are other proximity restrictions like this one that is proposed by the standing committee that have been upheld because they are deemed in those other states to not be so oppressive that they just completely fettered out business. So our belief from the legal department is that this would be fine.
Okay, thanks.
Wouldn't be an issue.
So I just think this is a start. It may not be the end, but it's the beginning. The action that we took at the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee expands the hours of operation allowed by the mobile vendors by 30 hours a week. And I think that's a really good start. It may not be the end. I think we have a lot of other things we can look at, such as districts and special areas and things like that, that could expand and grow. This whole concept of both tourism, entertainment, and food offerings, and those are all great things. But I think this is a start, and I'm in favor of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do get calls and texts. I have a few of them in my district, throughout my district. Actually, I had to deal with one a few days ago, or handle one, I should say. I will leave it be, as I see, but Commissioner Lopez did make a good comment, good point of, there are those ones who are blaring the music, but the majority of I believe, of our mobile food vendors are following the laws, following what they're supposed to do, not playing the music loud. And I just feel for them because the bad actors are punishing the whole group. And that's not fair. I agree with Commissioner Bynum. This is not the end. We can continue to refine and come back. But I make a promise to the mobile food vendors that I'm going to continue fighting for this. Like I said, it's culture. So I support the work that we did and I support changing the hours. But just because of that one provision, I still cannot support it, but don't think I don't support you. I just can't support that one provision. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stites.
Stites District 7. So one of the things that I'd like to say as far as the music, as you guys know my police background, and I would hate the idea that we put additional burden, tax our police department with going out and enforcing a noise ordinance with they're already taxed to death on items that they have to enforce. So but if we're talking about the change of the music. As far as the hours, I wasn't on that committee. What was the thinking or the rationale behind the 8 a.m.? Do they serve breakfast or why 8 and not 11 o'clock like Commissioner Burns suggested?
Any commissioner?
So yeah, Commissioner Davis, as I understand it from that May 15th meeting, we were trying to find, excuse me, we were trying to find some sort of happy medium between what was proposed by the mayor's office and then, of course, all of the various concerns. And so we kept that 8 a.m. Because we weren't going all the way to 2 a.m. Yeah, that was basically it. We were trying to find kind of that happy medium between the two. I will say for this particular policy, while I'm not aware of food trucks that are serving breakfast, I would not want to prohibit a food truck from serving breakfast if they were meeting a particular need. And so that was the other thing to say, if I'm abiding by all of the rules, what difference does it make if it's 8 a.m. or 11 p.m. if I'm, being careful about the noise and I'm 100 feet away and things of that nature. So that was the compromise.
Gotcha. Okay. And it makes sense. That's fine. So and I want to go back to the music, right? And this is going to be this is a hard thing. It doesn't prohibit a vendor from having music. They can play music at their station, right? Their mobile unit. They can have music playing at a respectable level that doesn't interfere. Because as we all know, automobiles that go up and down our roads every day are doing the same thing. Boom, boom, boom. We hear it, right? So, and it's unfortunate that they may be getting, but there have been complaints. I don't field them. That's not my district. It's been already mentioned that commissioner is getting those complaints, whether it's from the food vendors or just the cars going down the road. I don't know. Doesn't make a difference. People are still trying to sleep. Right. And it's an annoyance, and we have an ordinance to address that. So I think that you'll still be able to play the music, but at a level that's not in violation of our current ordinance. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To that point, Commissioner Stites, when we were in committee, through the interpretation of our planning director, no music is allowed. Even using a stereo is amplified sound, so no music whatsoever. Cannot be from the vehicle, no music whatsoever.
Could they hum real loud? I mean, golly, come on.
I don't know. But that was just the interpretation of planning was there's no sound whatsoever, no music.
Heaven forbid there be a little bit of music.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lopez.
I just want to say, I'm for the small business owners. I just want to clarify that too. Just real quick, there's 6 rules to success that I live by. Number 1, you need to trust yourself. Break the rules, not the law, but break the rules. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't listen to the naysayers. Work your butt off. And the 6th rule is when you make it, you give something back. And as a business owner, if you're not willing to give up everything, you've already lost. So you always keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burns.
I still say my compromise on the hours from 11 to 11 is fair to both sides. And I don't know how anybody, could deviate from that. I don't know why it was 8 in the morning either. I don't know. As far as the music, there'd be no music. And I don't know why some of the vendors go where the money is and go out to 110th and Parallel or to Bonner and Edwardsville. That's where you will make your money. That's where the rich people live.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
Quite the statement there. So couple of things. I don't know what to expect sometimes. It really throws me off. So a couple of things. If we do adopt this particular ordinance, because I know there's the PD issue, as I understand it, if someone has an issue, who would they call if they say, hey, I hear noise coming from that food truck? Are we telling everyone to call 311? Or who's responding to that? Yeah, who's responding to that call?
Ross Stewart Legal Department. It would likely be the police department if it is after hours, if we do not have anybody else that would be going out to do some sort of code enforcement action upon them.
So I guess that's kind of the point. I see what Commissioner Ramirez is saying. It's just going to be very difficult to regulate whether or not sound. It doesn't say music, it says sound. If you just hear the motors of the food trucks, that alone could arguably be, hey, that is sound coming from your food truck, not even music. So what do we do? Do we shut them down? Do we fine them? What have you? And so I just wanted to make that point. I'll also make the point, I know I've also received some communication regarding the 100 feet. I'm glad that our staff has done some research on that. And again, I see this similar to the short-term rental process where this is messy. We're going to learn a lot. We're probably going to come back and have to, make some amendments and changes as our community continues to change. That's how we got here right now. To move this show on the road, I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion. My motion will be to adopt this recommendation as submitted with the strikeout of 4I, which is the, 4J, which is the music and sound from mobile vehicles. That's my motion, is to adopt with the strikeout of 4J, which is banning the sound and or music. And the reason why I'm making that motion is because we already have a noise disturbance law on the books. That makes it very, very clear. And PD is going to be responding regardless of what's in here or what we have. That's my motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. before I entertain that motion, I just would like to say that I too support all our entrepreneurs and small businesses in Wyandotte County. I will continue to advocate to both staff and commission that we find ways to make it easier for our entrepreneurs and small businesses to do businesses in Wyandotte County. Why is that so important to me? Just talking to a lot of small business owners. Most small business owners have to pay complete fees. If they're brick and mortar, they pay BPU. They pay their taxes. And they don't get any type of incentives or things of that nature, like some of our big box businesses that come in here and asking for those things. And as a conglomerate, small businesses tend to pay more as a group here in most cities when you talk about property taxes and fees and things of those nature. So I just wanted to at least thank the commission for at least moving in a direction that at least enhances what was. And I do agree that as with anything, any ordinances and resolutions and policies are always living, whether it's this commission or the next one. We can continue to modify in a way that will hopefully meet the values that we have as a community. But this mayor will continue to support small businesses and our entrepreneurs. And hopefully I can get recommendations as well to this commission for consideration that can streamline and improve accessibility and sustainability and the success long-term for our businesses. I would like to say as well, just specific to food trucks, we do have a World Cup coming. I've looked at other communities. Houston has a food truck festival every year. I think it's the biggest one. I go to DC often. You go there are food trucks everywhere. And when you have people, it's always good to have more options for healthy food or vendor items than not. I mean, that's what brings people in to see our neighborhoods, to not just explore the food items, but then also to go to other shopping venues and hopefully spend money that can expand our sales tax base as well. So I do support the food trucks and I support the will of the commission tonight. Dr. Hill.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I definitely support the small business owners and the food truck industry. And I am glad that we were able to get some concessions as far as time and look forward to doing even more maybe in the future. I like the verbiage that was said that it's a beginning. It's not necessarily the end. So I'm excited we've gotten this far. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there is a motion that was given. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Bynum.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call, King.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burns.
Nope.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the portion of our regular meeting, and I join us in that capacity as a unified government. I will entertain a motion to adjourn as the Board of Unified Government Commissioners and call us back to order as the Land Bank Board of Trustees. Clerk.
Bynum, so moved.
Davis second.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. There is a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, King.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we have adjourned as the Board of the Unified Government Board of Commissioners. We will now reconvene as the Land Bank Board of Trustees. Do any members of the Commissioner and County Administrator wish to set aside any item on the Land Bank consent agenda?
Davis moves to approve.
All right, there is none. I take it there is no further discussion. There is a motion I will accept. Is there a second? Motion and a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, King. Lopez.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. There is no further business on tonight's agenda. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn us as the Land Bank Board of Trustees. I heard that there is a motion. I will accept that. And there is a second. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. This concludes our commission meeting tonight.